Hey.
Hey.
What's good, everybody?
Howdy, howdy. This is the Producers Lounge, presented by Always 400. That's us. I'm David. This is Austin and Caleb.
Hello, hello.
We're here to talk to you about all the secret mumbo-jumbo that only the producers want to hear. That's right. Nobody else wants to hear this shit.
No.
No. We're always here. We're here on Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, coming at you out of Denver, Colorado. Twitch.tv/always400 official. And if you're catching us on YouTube and that sounds like a fun thing to do, you could pop in here and ask us questions.
We would like that.
That'd be a nice thing for us. And maybe you get some secret sauce that you didn't even know you needed.
Secret sauce.
Yeah. Are you trying to get your mix clean?
Oh shit. Buzzwords?
Are you trying to get your base fat?
Oh.
Are you trying to get a lot of width and depth? That's right. We got you.
Yeah.
We got you on this.
We got
How's
all
everybody
the
doing?
secrets. Good, I'm good.
We're doing good, man.
Yeah, lovely intro. Chat, show Dave some love. Blow it up for Dave.
Chat.
Let me see those
Chat.
let me see those emotes in the chat. Those butt emotes.
Yeah. Are we official? Did we hit our...
No.
Not yet?
We are... I think it is...
We can talk about that later.
Yeah. We are so close. We are so close.
We're almost there. These people, we're there already. If you're listening to this, we're there.
We're there. Yeah,
Wherever
by the time
there is.
by the
you
time
don't
this
even know
comes
what
out,
we're talking about.
by the time this comes out on
But we're there.
Spotify,
We are there, though.
and by the time it comes out on Apple Podcasts,
Oh, yeah.
we'll be famous by then.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This
yeah,
podcast will
it's
blow
going to
up.
be old news.
Yeah, it'll be
by
30
the time
years
it
from
shows
now.
up on Apple Podcasts. Those guys suck. Anyways.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So, what's going on? What's interesting out there in the producer world?
Well, I've been working on some dub tracks, as you guys know. Some like 140. Yeah, some little wubs with a little bit of a Turnian sound style happening shit. But then there's just the obvious influences of mine, which you guys have no idea at all what that means. But that's okay.
It's free to figure it out.
Yeah, it bubbles down to like not compressing my subs right now as much. Like in terms of just a sub, a bass sound, like if it's a wub or if it's a what's it called? Like more attacky style bass sound, pluck.
A pluck.
There we go.
A little plucky.
Those obviously I'm gonna treat differently because there's a lot of mid information and high-end information. But just the sub on this one track I was working on, I was kind of experimenting, and I was like, all right, let's just try and like leave it relatively naked. Like I distorted a little bit inside of Vital. Now it's just a sine wave inside of Vital. I think I tried doing the Mr. Bill phase in an octave higher at a low volume to try and get the super fat.
Slightly fatter.
Yeah, or as some people know it as a copycat style method. But I think I have that at like 5%. It's like barely doing anything. Mainly because it was just making the tone weird.
I think the 5%'s all you need.
A lot of
you
times,
don't
yeah.
need much.
No, you don't need much.
Yeah. It's just a little
But
bit of that.
visually, it doesn't look like that much at like 5%. But it does give it a little more body. It just kind of like boosts that second harmonic a little bit.
Yeah.
With the phase knob, you can do that without canceling it. I think that's like the main point there.
Right, yeah. So the way it works is you have your regular sub sine wave, and then you have a secondary sine wave at like 2 octaves above, right? Or is it
or
like,
an octave?
An octave, maybe even like halfway between.
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere
you can have
1
fun.
and 2.
I've done it where it's at 7.
Yeah. So you
just
got
to give it a
one
weird
other
tone.
sine
Yeah, hit
wave.
the like fifth of it.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
Slumberjack will do a lot. They'll have like the octave and the fifth, so they'll have like 2 little extra
Right, so it's like a
sines.
little
Yeah.
chord.
Yeah,
cool.
little mini sub chord.
Yeah, so you just barely stick that in, and then you make sure that you offset the phase, and you try and get a little bit of a fat sine shape
Yeah,
out of it.
it's kind of wanting to almost go into a square,
Right.
but you're keeping it more rounded. And a key with this technique is to turn the phase randomness on both oscillators, whether you're in
Oh, yeah.
Vital or Serum or whatever. Turn
Have to
those
do that.
randomness down to 0, so it hits the same every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the best ways is if you have an oscilloscope, or if not, you can just resample live in Ableton while you're looping, and you can watch the waveform as you tweak with the phase of the second 2 octaves up or whatever oscillator, and you kind of tweak the phase knob until you start seeing that sine wave kind of form into a square of sorts, and you can kind of just play around with that, see what sits best in the mix, but it will just kind of give you a fatter tone.
Oh, yeah.
So I did a little bit of that, but
Little baby amount.
yeah, but the main thing was just volume matching it to where I needed it to go. And then I think I distorted it with a soft sine and saturator, just like, I don't think I did anything. I think I just turned it on full wet. So it's just the normal distortion coming out of the Ableton saturator without you driving it at all. And then
just like on analog, like
Yeah.
default setting.
And then I think the compressor that I threw on it is like a 4-to-1 glue, and it's got a slow attack and a slow release. Like, I think where the default is, where they're at 12 o'clock, it's at like 2 o'clock on both. So slightly slower than the default setting on the glue compressor. And then I just made it so the needle is tapping up to about 3, just kind of
a gentle nudge.
like it's not grabbing any peaks. It's just kind of grabbing the body and just kind of gluing it a little bit. But just that, nothing else, and it sounds amazing. It sounds so good. It like punches through the mix just right. Like, I'm scared once I get farther into the mixing process, if I can keep the integrity. We'll see, but for now, about halfway through the mix, it sounded
it starts
sick,
getting like pushed together with other elements,
right?
and
And
stuff,
contesting
like,
with the space.
Yeah, are you gonna have to pull it down? Probably have to pull the volume down and then push everything into it so it just stays
right. So
until
kinda,
you get it touching that limiter again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It seems to be one of the ways to go. Is like you. We used to always get super lost trying to figure out mixes, and we'd be trying to smash our songs because we like them smashed, and you know, at the end of the day, you have like a sub that's the track is at like negative 35 decibels because you keep pushing the limiter up, and then you pull a couple things down, and then you get it to a point and you're like, oh, that sounded pretty good. Let me just push the limiter up a little bit more, and then you push it up a little bit more.
Something
and then,
starts breaking. You're like, all right, well, I need to go tamper with that.
Right.
Next thing you know, your track's at negative 60 decibels.
So it's a tricky little balance you got to figure out for
Oh,
yourself. Like, but I think a lot of the time it means you got to turn the rest of that shit up. It's just got to be
Right.
It's got to be hitting things first, like all your like mid-range sounds and whatnot. You got to kind of more than you would think turn that stuff up. But you know,
you can
it's
clip
a tricky balance.
You can clip the highs pretty substantially, more so than you think, and then you can boost the mids more so than you think.
Oh, yeah.
I would say. I think those, and you can turn down the bottom end more than you think. I think those like little arbitrary rules kind of hold fast in electronic.
Yeah, I was talking to John yesterday about he's getting his room sounding really, really nice, and he's thinking he actually wants it to be a little bit subbier in the room.
Hell yeah.
In his listening position.
Why is
And because it feels better
that's fair.
when you're making the tune.
Yeah, you're
so
like, it's hitting.
And it's a normal thing. Like if you pull up your SonarWorks, you can apply a curve. So you can be like, just give me more bass and give me less highs.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you don't have to deal with hearing the like harshness of the highs at the level that they need to be while you're like mixing and making and doing all the things. You can like I will always have my highs way too low because it's just harsh on my ears.
Right.
You know? So it's an interesting thought for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out
yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, but moral of the story, the mids and the highs, you got to push those babies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's
more
all
than you think.
in context, but yeah, it's definitely like more than you think. I find myself most of the time when I make something that's in the mid-range now, I usually make it just kind of to taste. I'm not thinking about EQ or anything. I'm just kind of making a cool sound or choosing a sample. And then once I have it, and then once I like am listening to it in context and I'm bringing it down, I'll like bring the EQ in and immediately just like sweep with a boost around 400 to 2K. Just sit there and be like, oh, okay. Oh, actually, it needs a lot of 800. It helps it like pop right out, and it keeps me. I don't need to pull this section down, or I don't need to like do a bunch of subtractive EQ in it or anything. It's just one weird boost in the middle, and then I compress it, and the sound fits perfect.
Yeah.
And then once I get to compression mode in that group or in the mix, it seems they just have more integrity with more mid range. Like
well, I think it's pretty crucial to getting your highs sounding good.
Yeah, exactly. Because without the
like,
context of the mids, the highs sound weird if they're loud.
Yeah.
Or quiet if they're
all
quiet.
Of a sudden it's tinny or
it's a lack of mids is what it is. It's not like you have the wrong highs or you're processing them wrong. It's just you don't have anything sitting around 1K.
Yeah.
You need a lot of info there, otherwise the highs just feel flimsy.
Yeah, don't forget about it. You always got to pay attention to your balance all the way across the spectrum.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It all has to just be sitting there at that level where it's just everything's touching whatever your processing is that comes after. And it just everything kind of just gently pushes up against whatever limiters you have.
And being gentle is
some
key
saturation
in that point.
Yeah.
No,
Subtle
totally.
saturation.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy in the beginning to just be like, oh yeah, crank up your saturation, give it a lot of compression because you don't know better.
Right, and you're just like, I need to process the sounds, right?
Yeah, you're like, this is how they do it, right? Yeah.
Right, and to a certain extent, you can still do that, but that's like in my brain, that's sound design. When you're saturating and compressing that much, you're sound designing. So at that point, flatten the bitch and then reset it with volume. Think about it again as now it's a sample. So what do you need to do to make it fit in the thing? Because you can't sound. I don't think you can sound design fully effectively whilst trying to put it in a song. Like you have to sound design the sound and then treat the sound in the song. You can't just like magically,
I feel that.
like maybe sometimes you might hit it just right where the sound design of the sound is already EQ'd and compressed where it needs to be for the mix. But I feel like majority of the time you should just be focusing on making a cool sound.
Yeah.
And then you can focus on fitting it in the mix.
Yeah. Unless you're at some kind of wizard status, which, some people are.
Which maybe
rare people.
Yeah, but maybe they still do that to some certain extent.
Totally. Oh yeah, they definitely do. Still just do their own sound design sessions and
right
stuff.
And just like thinking about it that way, you're like, okay, now I designed this weird bleepy bloopy thing, now I need to figure out the cool part of it, fit it into the loop. Okay, this sounds cool, but now I gotta treat it all over again because now it's basically a raw sound. It might be pushed at -3, but it might need some subtractive EQ
It's going
for
to
it
be
to
great.
fit.
It's going to be great. That's how most things work in the audio world and have always worked. If you're making hip hop back in the day, you're taking like some sample off a record and mixing it with some 808 drum thing, and then you're smashing them together into a thing and then reprocessing all of that again. So, I mean, a lot of processing is not bad. It's kind of how you get the vibe.
Right.
That kind of just made me think of, I'm sure you guys have heard, Kenny Beats talks a lot about how he doesn't sidechain his 808s with his kicks. He just lets them slam into each other, because in his mind, he says it's like hitting harder for hip-hop or something. But the best part about that is, like, he makes hip-hop and all this stuff now, but he used to be like the trap EDM guy when he was Loud Pack or whatever. So he probably understands, like, the beauty of it. But what do you guys think? Is there a better or worse?
I understand that. From an aesthetic point of view, like, you want the kick and the 808 kind of mashing together. Two things to unpack with that. One, unpack. That's a fun thing to say. Wait, Loud Pack is Kenny Beats?
Yep.
Yes, sir. So.
Hey, Kenny.
Oh, crap.
I know, right? It's weird.
Oh, no. Okay, there we go. I was like, I almost forgot what I was going to talk about. So with this kind of hip-hop nowadays, you want the kick and the 808, when they hit, to kind of distort. You kind of want that, the kind of like crunch when it hits. Which I assume everything else in the song is still sidechained, so you still get the duck feeling, but then you also simultaneously get the distorted feeling. Second thing being, if you have good ears, you can choose a kick and a sub that will hit together nicely. That will still kind of like sign out really nice without any kind of phasing. So you can get away without sidechaining it and having it not just boost your limiter or your clipper super hard. Like, they still phase into each other really nice. But that comes with experience of like using a bunch of kicks and 808s constantly. So you know
and whatever
what
your
it sounds like.
mastering chain looks like, or your like summing
right,
situation looks like, because a lot of people like for their kick to hit the limiter super hard. Like that's like a thing people do on purpose all the time, which I don't really understand it myself.
I don't either.
I usually pull it down as far as I can.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair though,
yeah,
I do slam it into a limiter. It's just earlier. So I can get the tone of it slamming into a limiter, and then I can mix it to volume.
Totally.
That's how I go about doing that. But
yeah, I will do that too, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I don't do that at all. Maybe I should experiment with that more.
If you want a fatty kick,
if you want a fatty kick, you've come to the right place, folks.
That's right. We know how to do fatty kicks. Yeah, I've been on my kicks recently. Speaking of kicks, I've been pulling out fuck tons of high end. I have to just keep on pushing down a shelf on the high end. Like,
dude, I have like 4 EQs
shelf, on it.
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
because
shit.
as you're pushing it into the limiter, the highs come back.
Yeah, they just come right back.
So like, I'm trying to push my track like 5 dB into a limiter at the very, very end. A lot of the time. Sometimes there's a limiter twice in the master chain, and that's not even including the whole drum channel or the kick and snare channel or the music channel. Like, it's hitting limiters. It's hitting quite a few limiters on the way.
Right.
And by the time it gets to the end, it just sounds like fucking clicky, and the high end gets messy. It just sounds like shit. So yeah, I'm sitting there pushing down with the shelf.
Interesting.
On that kick over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it works. It works really good. It it'll end up making that kick sound fat, and you keep the amount of high end you need because you just shelf it until it sounds good.
I call that the Alex Perez syndrome, because his kicks are always just like just like little round, wonderful,
Yeah.
like just perfect.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
once
Love
I
it.
like there was some track I heard and I was like, man, I want that kick so bad. And so ever since then, I'll have like a little bit of a click, but it's normally coming from like, because I make my kicks in kick 2, so it'll normally come from the transient pitch tone coming down that gives it like the little bit of a click,
Right.
as opposed to like some high end layer or something like that. But I'll pull it up for you guys now.
It's funny. It bleeped out Mo's shit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I wonder if we can change that. Allow
Probably.
cursing.
So
Because we're fucking adults in here.
Yeah, come
Even
on.
if you're not, we are.
let's
Yep.
just go to one of my favorite
Oh, look
ho-
at that.
homemade presets here.
Mm.
Ooh.
So there's a kick drum. Turn up the
Fucking
master.
rude ass Twitch. We love you, Twitch.
We love you,
Mhm.
Twitch. So here I have this kick. What do I have? Yeah. So let's just add a little bit of that, because normally I can just do this, and that'll give you more of a click. But you lose transient because this is like the amplitude.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can move up the pitch at the beginning. That'll work. But this is usually what my kick chain looks like. It goes into a compressor of some kind, whatever. Let's just, whatever. It's a little bit of clipping. And then we'll do, I would do like some light EQing before it hits the limiter, basically.
Do you have a SonarWorks on?
No, it's off. How do I do with this thing? Which is fun, except for that.
It is fun.
Why doesn't it give me that stereo? There we go.
Ooh,
There we go. Now we can actually see the kick.
It's beautiful.
right? I like
so
that.
pretty.
Is that a free plugin?
No.
Or no?
This is an FL plugin, actually. But you can buy them from, what's the parent
Loops.
company? Fruity Loops. It's like Image Line.
Oh, image line.
IL.
Hmm.
They
What's
have-
up, T-Joss?
What's up, dog?
What
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
They have a pack where you can buy like all their
Okay.
super basic like Ableton stock kind of things, which is where I got this thing too, which is the best distortion thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
Just a,
If you got any production questions, my dude, let us know. We'd be
Yeah.
happy to answer them.
yeah, right now we're just kind of going over how I process kicks real quick,
Talking about processing kicks.
and mainly we're talking about hitting a limiter in your kick processing before it actually goes to, say, the mix bus or your master chain that has a limiter on it,
exactly.
so that you can get the tone and the crunch of your limited kick drum without affecting or having to deal with that in the mix as you're trying to slam it into the master limiter.
Trying to find beats, huh? What do you mean by that? You a streamer or something? Trying to find beats for videos, or what are you trying to find beats
What
for?
are you trying to find? You just trying to find a place to listen to some beats? Go check out Mona Lisa Hamilton.
Mona Lisa Hamilton.
So what I'll do is then after it's been compressed, I've done a little bit EQing, which this EQ I would fuck with as I'm slamming it. So let's just slam it really quick. So we'll slam it in here, and you can just sit here and mess with the attack for fun.
Could try a different
You could also
style too.
try modern's really nice.
Ooh,
Yeah, that sounds great.
it's like buzzy.
So
Dig. Right. So now you can move that around and kind of
right,
add or subtract tone.
like
Like
you just boost that and it automatically sounds beefier.
Mm. So it's almost like the John method, the way he makes his bass sounds. You're kind of doing that with the kick.
Kind of, yeah. And it's all about, like, post this L2, it's anyone's game at this point. Like, I can boost and do whatever the hell I want.
Mm-hmm.
And to a certain extent, it's still going to remain a kick drum. So I can kind of just go with my ears and just find a spot that sounds cool. And then I can sit here, speaking of which, both these EQs have a cut on. Now I can sit here.
That's hilarious.
And, like, find the spot I want. And then here, you get a straight up. And I will just sit here
Oh,
and
damn.
duplicate. Duplicate.
Ooh, just going for the pillow.
Uh-huh. And it's something I heard Alex Perez say in a stream where he's like, I just go until it sounds round. And I was like, that's just literally, that's exactly what I'm looking for also. I just want it to be nice and round.
Mm-hmm.
And as a beginner producer, that's kind of hard because you don't really know, you haven't experimented with kicks enough and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
But just listen to the music you like and just, like, analyze the fuck out of it.
Sit there
And
fiddle
sit
with
there
it.
and fiddle with shit. And it's okay to throw 4 EQs after, like, who cares? Like,
It's
whatever.
a lot easier than doing like a bunch of different
Yeah.
movements on one EQ.
Oh, yeah. And it's technically easier for each EQ, therefore easier on your CPU. And probably, I would suspect, giving you a better
I would think so.
audio
too.
quality.
Yeah, I think it does a better job this way.
Yeah, I think it's just better than having one EQ that's got a million things happening trying to make a
Right.
sound good.
Then it just looks
Right.
confusing and scary, and you're
Right.
like, oh, what's
Yeah,
happening?
you can't really tell what's going on. I
Right.
think that's like the main thing that makes it better.
Right.
Like, it's just going to sound better because you have a better idea of what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
in the moment. It's easier to pay attention to the amount of dBs going down at any given moment
Right.
in any situation, instead of like you've went down like 3 dB on 4 different bell curves and you're like, well, what is it at this frequency rate? Well, we don't know,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
My man says, I just make rap scripts. I just want to see if my script works with you or anyone's beats.
Oh.
Well, man, we have Aznadel here. So
Yep.
if you want to look him up, you could look his stuff up. It's on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Our stuff is Caleb and I have a beat project called Mona Lisa Hamilton. It's like lo-fi beats.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Either of those work.
Is it AZNE?
A-Z-N-A-D-E-L. Yeah.
Monda?
Mondo Lassa Hamilton.
And we got links galore just below that you can hit up our Discord. You're welcome to
Heck yeah, brother.
hit us up on Instagram, and yeah,
Yeah, we do make beats.
we'll talk back.
It's true.
Yeah. We make like a
It's
lot of
true.
different styles.
We
We're even
make
making
a lot
like
of beats.
Yeah. We're even making like a hip hoppy one on our feedback stream that we just started. We've only
It's
put
true.
like 2
It's
sessions
true.
into it, and we're making
Which-
it live. But
Yeah, we'll be back Saturday
Yeah.
around this time.
yeah.
If you want to come in for the feedback stream, we can then maybe do this a little more in depth rather than tonight, which is
Yeah.
podcast night.
Podcast night.
Which, if you have any production questions, like how to process vocals or anything like that, let us know.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
go.
man.
Let's go.
So fun stuff, fun kick work.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's basically my
Yep.
kick work.
Just keep on pushing down on those highs.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, if you want a clicky kick, that's a thing, but
Yeah, totally.
probably has
tricky.
more click than you think it does.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Probably has more
Yeah.
than you think it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. You probably want a very specific click.
Oh,
My
let's
man,
go.
thanks for the follow.
Yeah,
Hell
thanks,
yeah,
dude.
man.
Appreciate that, dog.
Yeah, we had a buddy over the other day, played us a track. His kick was clicking like a motherfucker.
Oh my God, it
Let
was-
me tell you what.
The whole kick was loud. The bottom
Yeah.
end was surprisingly well maintained.
Mhm.
The subsection, which I was surprised, sounded good, but the top of the kick would just slap you in the ear.
Oh yeah, it's just like a clock.
Yeah.
Like,
Tick tock won't stop.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, dude.
But-
I feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean the track was surprisingly fine.
Yeah, track was good.
But just the kick drum, I was like, oh no, you already sent it off to be mastered.
That's
like
okay.
just
Mastering
just,
guy will figure it out. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, I can't think of a way to like tame that without killing. Well,
You just when the kick hits, you have a node
yeah.
that does this,
Yeah.
automates
Mm.
down
that or
on
you
the area that you need.
So he would just
Yeah.
manually go in and do that at all the kick spots?
Yep.
Well, he's getting paid
if
for it
you're
at least, so-
mastering, that's a
Yep.
thing that you might do in
That
some
makes sense.
situations.
That makes sense.
Mastering engineers have to do weird shit
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to try and get people's tracks to sound better
Yeah.
because they want you to fix things like that.
Yeah, right. I remember seeing
know?
one video where there
Oh.
was this one guy, and he was, it was for a vocal, and he was just
Mm-hmm.
riding the fader through the song, like
Mhm,
manually, just
mhm.
because he didn't want to compress it yet. He was just like, I can hear that it's fucked up. So he tried to do that, and he did like 3 different little layers of just like manual little ups and downs through it, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, that's a
weird approach, but cool.
Classic trick.
yeah. It's a classic thing called
Mhm.
riding the fader.
Riding
That's
the
like
fader,
what
okay.
mixers used to have to do all the time.
Yeah, they would do it
Because-
on everything.
Yeah, because that's
Weird.
you
Huh.
did that so the compressor didn't have to do as much work. The compressor is for super fast stuff, and then you can just be like, oh, and here comes the backing vocals. Okay, we go down 2, and
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
at this timestamp we move it up, and then you write that down on a little notepad so you know at 2 minutes 37 on the 4th beat of the bar, this the hi-hat goes down by 2 because he opens.
Right
On the hi-hat, so
right,
it's gotta
right. You
come
have to
down
do a
overall.
little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
little
funny.
things like that. So you had to do that in time so you could print it out.
Mm.
So you
Right.
could have the printed version on
Right.
tape,
Mm.
which is just like it's incredible. Like now we don't have to do that at all. We just like
Yeah, you don't
move a
gotta
little
do
red
that.
line.
I
Yeah,
know,
you don't have
so
to
much
do that at
easier.
all.
Although-
Nowadays, you chop your audio and you just turn the volume up on the little clip
Yeah.
and make sure all of the audio of the vocal
Yeah, that works.
basically looks the same all the way across.
Mhm.
What
For
I'll
the
do
most
for I actually do this a lot is I do volume automate with just like a gain plugin at the end of a chain. I'll just throw in a utility and then grab the gain, and I'll either use it for if a MIDI clip or instrument has too much reverb tail or anything, I can just
Yep.
like kill it without having to flatten its
Absolutely.
audio and then do it then. I could just do it now while I still have like the MIDI, but also like just slowly bringing stuff in and out by like 2 decibels or whatnot. It's so nice instead of like
Totally.
trying to come up with something else. Like I'm gonna filter it. Like just turn it down by 3, and then the other thing can come in front of it, and it sounds great.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean that is one good lesson to learn from those guys that were writing the fader is like they would turn something down a little bit when something else needed to be in the spotlight in the track.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you would go accordingly to that. Just, hey, we got this. We need to get something out of the way. What's getting in the way? Let me just pull that down a little bit. And then the other thing can come right on through.
Mhm.
Hey, we got
That's
butts
nice.
in the chat.
Wow.
Dang, butts in the chat. Big ups for the butts.
Nice.
That's in the chat.
It's a good move. Yeah. So,
Slick Rick.
Oh, man. Speaking of automating, I was watching this Sedgwick. Go follow that guy. Shout out.
Mm.
He's a legend.
He is a
Mhm.
legend.
In the space of tutorials for DAWs. But he uses Ableton a lot. But he's doing a video on Ableton versus Bitwig,
Mm.
which I've been fucking around a lot with Bitwig. And this video was looking at latency, plugin latency.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did is he put a noise, just a sample of noise on a channel, and then he had 2 filters with the filter going like down low so you don't really hear much.
Mhm.
Maybe it has like a low rumble or something from the noise. And then he automated them both on and off at the same time, simultaneously, back and forth.
Mhm.
So it would like this filter, and then this filter, and then this filter, and then this filter.
Mhm.
So technically, it shouldn't make any difference when they switch over because they're switching at the exact same time, and they're set to all the exact same settings.
Right.
So, and what would happen is you get a click. You get a little click because a little bit of audio leaks through there.
In that
Okay.
little
Not
millisecond.
exact.
It's like 1 grain or whatever. Just like a little
it just,
beep.
Oh, tiny.
it's just
Yeah.
a little baby boy. When one turns off, there's a little that squeezes in before the other one turns on.
Huh.
However that works. And then he added in between the two a like a fancy compressor VST plugin that actually gives you latency, and duplicated it a few times, and there was noticeable difference. Like it would actually give you the latency between that. So it would be like tsh, tsh.
Oh, what? Weird.
And then
Okay.
he did it in Bitwig, and guess what?
Did not
Nothing.
happen.
Nothing.
Ooh.
Smooth as butter. Right on through, baby.
Smooth sailing.
It was
Interesting.
a rough video to watch, honestly.
I'm sure.
It's been using Ableton for a long time.
It's called not 19-year-old coding.
That's right.
Ableton looking at you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd pass the Ableton instructional person test,
Yeah.
whatever they call those guys. Ableton
Certified
certified trainer.
Yeah.
I passed that motherfucking test all day long.
Yeah.
I know the things.
me too.
And that was rough. That was a rough one for me. I was just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
this whole
something you
time
have
it's
to
just
think about. And well, it's something that you deal with all the time because you have a fatty bass line going. You got all sorts of samples on that puppy. And then you go to render it out and you record from another audio channel and you got a little gap at the front.
Right. All the time.
You know, you have to
gotta
go
move
and
it.
you got to manually pull it back into time, or you forget. You know, which happens a lot of the time. Probably adds to vibe in all reality.
In a
Sure.
way. Yeah.
But you don't want that.
No.
You know,
No. You wanna add the vibe.
You add the
You want it
vibe.
to be intentional.
Yeah.
You add the vibe.
The vibe is for you to add. That's right.
You
at
add
you.
it, folks.
Yeah. So that's a pretty wild little dude. But Bitwig's been really fun to get to mess with a bunch.
Oh, I'm sure.
Been exploring all the different plugins and the capabilities. One of my favorite things in Bitwig is they have a container, which they have a bunch of things called containers. But they have this one container. It's essentially like a grouped rack of effects that gives you 3 different bands to play with. So you can, if you're in Bitwig and you want to, or what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, if you're in Bitwig and you want to have a multi-band compressor like you're using in Ableton, you pull up a 3-band, and you have you pull up the 3-band multi-band splitter, and you put a compressor on each individual band, and that's how you get your multi-band compressor.
Which is sick.
Where Ableton has a multi-band compressor, that's the thing. It also happens to be what people will use to split bands a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Right,
in
right.
Bitwig, you don't have to do that. And
Which is so sick.
here's Bitwig. Oh, isn't it beautiful?
It
Oh,
does.
it's so
We
sexy.
got to go back over here real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Because this thing has to go off.
There you go. Yeah, it might not let you use both at the same
This
time.
isn't like the
too.
second time
Oh,
I've
it does.
ever seen it.
Oh, it does?
Hmm?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you click a little plus sign on the channel.
First.
Oh, is that like the little library or
Yep.
like search bar?
But
thing? It's on the
also,
right now?
yeah, it's on the right. Plus all of
Get it
your
on the right, and then you can hit
all
the
your
little
stuff's
plus.
over here. But this is one of my favorite parts. You can just click on the instrument channel or the audio channel, click a little plus bar, and it brings up the whole thing.
Oh, it's so fucking amazing.
so you can
too.
just search immediately and then see them.
Or like
Hmm.
bring it back up. That little area. Like right there you have all the brands of all the different plugins just ready to go. They're right there. You can look and be like Freak Show Industries or whatever.
Sound theories.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty
They're just
sick.
right there.
Freak
You don't
too.
have to go searching for them.
These plugins.
It
these
just
plugins,
jams
yeah.
them all into
Yeah.
one thing because we're just on any file type mode right now.
Right,
And
and
it figures it out for you.
One of the hard things I had was adding files. like adding a new folder.
Yeah, I was having an
it was
issue
a
with
little
that too.
weird, but I just a quick YouTube search.
We're in
away.
beta right now too, so
That's true.
Anyway, so
we got that. What is this thing called?
So you go to, if you hit just Bitwig devices,
I think I can just it's in dynamics, right?
It's in container.
Oh, that's right.
All right, multiband effects 3. You got split, 2, and 3. I don't know what the difference between 2 and 3 is.
And this is mid-size. I think 2 is just.
It's a
just have a low and
mid-side
a high.
split? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize
You have a
they
mid-side.
had that.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you
it
can
just gets
add
better and better, guys.
each little piece into here.
Gonna make a little mid-side OTT later. Yeah, but go ahead and hit that 3 band. So with this guy, you have those 3, low, mid, high, and you can set them to be at whatever crossover you want between each of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's your little crossover points.
Which you can grab this and move them, I think, both at the same
And you
time.
get volume for each, too. Those are all volume. Yep. And then if you want to make it a compressor, you would click on that guy, and then you add a compressor into the low.
Which is under dynamics.
Dynamics. And yeah, that if you wanted it to be like the multiband compressor in Ableton, you would use dynamics, because dynamics has upwards and downwards compression.
Right, which you need both.
Yeah,
For
if you want it to be
OTT.
that same way. Yeah, if you're making an OTT, you would need both.
But
and,
what is that crazy thing that you found?
click on presets next to devices, yeah, and then search OTT.
Oh,
Should
yeah,
just
that's
pop
right.
up.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. That's
Grid
the one.
comp multiband. So this, as far as we know, is Bitwig's OTT.
It's trying to be an OTT of sorts,
look
but
at
it
this, folks.
just
That?
Look at this, folks.
shreds sounds.
Look at this
Oh,
monstrosity.
it
It's
is
nicely labeled.
awesome.
You have your filter block.
Yeah,
so
of course.
this is
Yeah,
all
your
of
filter
your
block.
splits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense. Your signal processing block.
Yeah.
So this is, I assume, where you have like all your thresholds are mapped to this, and all your thresholds are in here. So these are like all your
Got a
compressors.
little look ahead. Look at all the little
I know. It's
lines.
so
It's
cute.
so
Well, it's basically
confusing.
each
I know,
one of these
right?
is a compressor. Yeah, the
Right.
lines make it really scary, but I stared at it for like 10 minutes and I was like,
Oh, really?
oh, I get it.
I didn't even try.
Yeah, it's basically here comes your audio. It goes into a pre-filter splitter, basically, and then each one of those goes into a compressor, which is basically all this is, with your attack and releases and your thresholds. And then it goes just into a summonator, which is just your out,
Summoner.
which is basically just
Summoner,
it's just your out
dude.
for each one.
Yeah, it's the output for all of them, and it just brings them all back together.
And this is,
But-
by the way, folks, this is called the grid. It's like it's like a modular playground.
Exactly. This is like their answer to Max for Live being Ableton's thing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically
I
what
like
they're
that
trying to
a
do
lot.
is
And-
make a different thing that works a similar way, but it also acts like modular gear, like actual modular synthesizers.
You can have like controlled voltage and everything.
Yeah.
It's also the answer to FL has a similar thing. I forget what they call theirs, but it's similar to like this.
Oh yeah.
But you
It's like
have
a
like
build
whole
your own
whole
shit.
plugins, and you draw
Seamless
little
is all
lines.
hyped on that.
Yeah,
thing.
same with Bündchen.
Hmm.
Oops, it's the wrong X.
Yeah.
So
You should throw like a saw wave through that thing.
we will. All the buttons are different but slightly the same, so I can still get to arming it, but it's like I push a couple wrong buttons first. So I think this is, yeah. So it's still doing a little bit already.
It makes it fat already.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is just a sine wave, folks.
Oh.
And then
I love it.
we're gonna go ahead and start destroying it.
What the fuck? This is
Right?
insane.
It makes it so crazy. It just destroys it.
So those are all basically macros.
Yeah.
Can you only have 8?
I think you can have more.
I think you can have more. Yeah. I don't know. This
Knowing
is all
Bitwig, I feel like they would have just been like, yeah, just have infinite.
Oh, there's
something.
also these. You have your.
Oh, they're mapped already.
Oh, I see. Oh, Bitwig is still weird.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to figure
But-
out for sure.
This thing is basically your OTT, and it's sick.
Oh, it
It's-
looks so fun, but
it's-
it does not work the same as an OTT. It's not the same.
No, it does not work the same.
Like
but
if you stack them, doesn't just work out for you.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. No,
It gets messy pretty quick.
but it still does kind of give you the.
Oh, it just smashes things cool though.
Yeah, right.
If you
Fun.
give this some reverb. Whoa. What's going on with my Ableton or my Serum right now?
Yeah, right. Weird.
Pitch.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's set up to anything yet.
Anyways, now we're getting carried away with Bitwig. I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, now it's playtime.
It's my fault.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun fucking with things in there. It's definitely a lot of toil trying to understand every little thing that I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a couple weeks of, maybe not even a couple weeks of
Like a
fucking
week.
around with it. And I'm not, doing it a lot. I'll do it, every other day for an hour or two.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's coming along.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm pretty sure in a month I'm going to be, just slapping some beats through that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go,
We're
yeah.
gonna have them stanky.
Yep.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody here mess with Bitwig? Is anybody? Y'all
Is there anyone
Ableton
here?
FL? Says there's 4 people.
Oh, let's go.
That's
What's up,
one
crew?
more than we have.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Also, if you just have any general music production questions, that's what we're here for.
That's
what we're trying to do
Mhm.
here.
Yep.
that is the shtick.
It's the shtick. The whole shtick.
That's
Every
literally the
Tuesday.
shtick. Every Tuesday.
Because
8:30.
we are
Always 400.
That's right. Always.
always.
Always, baby. Yeah, Bitwig is super fun. Also kind of toying with it on and off here and there. I'm really excited to dive into the grid once I'm
Dude,
fully
yeah.
versed and I can just sit in there for 3 hours making modular bloops and bleeps.
Yeah,
you know,
that's like the sound design playground.
Right.
Like that
Yeah.
is gonna be so
especially
much
for
fun.
at least for me, for non-bass sounds, because bass sounds, I'm generally pretty equipped these days to make a patch pretty quick of what I want. I can pretty quickly, if I want a womp, I can toy around with a preset, not a preset, but preset that I've made basically of just what I know a womp that
Yeah,
I
what
want
you
to
like.
Yeah, and then I can just toy around with distortion types and EQ until it gets to a
Yeah.
fun sound that I like. Where melodic elements and atmospheric elements and texture elements and percussion elements that, I like the randomness that the grid offers, because you can just get little trickles and little sparkly bits and stuff that you would get with modular gear, just because everything's just so freaking random. And
Yeah.
you can get a pitch modulator that leads into a bunch of resonators and all sorts of weird shit, which I can't wrap my head around having fun with that in Ableton, because it's so linear. It's just you have one option, or you make groups and split them. And
Yeah, it's
just,
hard to make
I
things
can't get
random
inspired.
in Ableton.
Yeah, I can't
it's
get
not the
super
easiest
hard.
thing.
Yeah.
most people probably don't understand how to make things random in Ableton in general. Like, I mean, the main way I do it is with a LFO.
Yep.
And I find where the range I want it to be in with the LFO on a sine wave, and then I switch it over to random.
Yep.
And you can adjust smoothness. But, like, that's one way of doing it. And it's annoying that it's like the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And Bitwig
the only
literally has a modulator in the grid that's a dice.
Yeah.
So it just spits out
Yeah.
1
There's
through 100.
tons of ways to make things random in Bitwig.
Yeah, it's
so many ways.
Everything
Oh,
can be
man.
randomized, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Which is slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that in the future for sure, because
Yeah.
right now we're just
babies.
amateurs. We're noobs,
Right.
as they say on Twitch.
Snoobs.
I haven't even started it yet. It's like just you two guys.
Oh,
I'm still
yeah.
scared. I'm
I
intimidated.
mean, I have an Instagram post from like 2016 of me fucking Bitwig, so y'all can fuck off.
Oh.
So.
Damn.
I think
Shots fired.
I think it was Bitwig 1 or 2.
I mean, you spent more time in it than I did, that's for sure.
Just a little
At
bit
the
of
time.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think it's time we wrap this up, boys.
Yeah.
It's about that time.
Let's do it.
Thank you, folks. Oh, look who it is. Voyager Noises.
Oh. Well, hello, sir.
We might be switching to Bitwig.
I'm not. Not
Probably.
yet.
I'm probably going to switch.
Yeah, I can say confidently that I will eventually switch, probably within the next 2 years, probably.
Yeah.
Probably soon. I'm basically waiting for these 3 dub tracks I'm working on to be done, and then I can like focus on start a track in Bitwig if I want, or at least start creating sounds in there and moving them to Ableton and stuff like that. But dude, Bitwig is
it's a bit of a transition, but it's pretty damn fun.
It's a Bitwig of a transition.
Hey-o.
Hey,
love you, Kyle. So, yeah, I'll show it to you when you come over next week.
Yeah, we can talk about it
That boy
on
might
episode
be
12
here in a week. All right, y'all, you know what it is. You hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, hit that notification bell.
Yes.
Come check us out Saturday. We're going to be doing a feedback stream, and then Voyager Music, who's currently in the chat, is coming over next Tuesday to bring you some more wisdom and little nuggets.
Arcane Ways, my man. We are just finishing. We'll be back this Saturday and next
Operators
Tuesday.
are really fun.
Both 8:30 Mountain Standard Time.
Yep.
Yes, and we are both running the new beta for Bitwig. So yeah, that's the one we're talking about. We'll end up probably talking about it next week or Saturday.
Yeah.
While we're just kind of hanging out doing a feedback stream. Speaking of which, next Tuesday we may or may not have a big surprise for you guys.
Not even.
It'll be fun.
Make sure
Not
you
even
hit that.
including the boy being here.
That's right. That's right. It's another one.
It's always fun in here.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
you never know what you're going to get unless you're here.
It's always 400 in here, folks.
It's always 400.
And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I can't wait, guys. You guys have
gonna
no
be
idea.
A very, very fun surprise.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best surprise. And you know what?
Bitwig's native
It's
plugins
free
are
for you
fun.
guys. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow button, all those
Give
fun
us your
things.
firstborn son.
Always
We'd appreciate that.
.com. We love you guys.
Bye.